Am I audible now? Please confirm this. Am I audible now? So that I may start. Please hurry up. Guys, please let me know if I am audible. Then I'll start. Today's class is going to be very important for you guys. So, let me know if I am audible now. I'll start. Class is going to be very important for you. Okay. So let's start. Student, please, if you are watching this class, share this session so that other students may also be benefited, because today's class is going to be very informative for you. And in today's class, I am going to tell you some very important concepts of grammar as well as vocabulary. You may consider this class as the introductory class, where I'll let you know some very basic grammar concepts and also the introduction of vocabulary, because both the sections are very important for your examination, particularly for SSC. And as far as vocabulary part is concerned, it is very important for any exam where English grammar has been asked. Vocabulary section is definitely there. So this class is going to be very helpful. Today I'll tell you very important topics. Okay, so not only very important but also very interesting. This class is going to be very interesting as well, and I am sure and I promise you that today you will learn something that you have never learned before. Okay, so please share this session as soon as possible so that more and more students may join this session. Okay, so as I was telling you that in vocabulary sections there are 6 different parts. Okay, in vocabulary section there are 6 different parts. First part is phrasal verb, second part is synonyms, third part is antonym, fourth part is one word substitution, fifth part is idioms and phrases, and sixth part is misspelled word. Right? Whenever we think about vocabulary, we only think of synonyms, antonyms, one word, and idioms and phrases. We always miss phrasal verbs. Many of us don't even count phrasal verb in the vocabulary section. But phrasal verb, I think, are the most important part of vocabulary. Why? Because phrasal verb are not only important in vocabulary section but also in grammar. Okay, so synonyms and antonyms are asked only in the vocabulary section. One word substitution are asked only in vocabulary section, but phrasal verb is something that can be asked in the vocabulary section as well as in spotting error, in fill in the blank, in closed test. So phrasal verbs are the most important vocabulary thing that we always miss. Okay, as I told you that we often miss phrasal verb. We often miss phrasal verbs while studying vocabulary. So phrasal verbs are the most important part of English grammar, whether it is vocabulary section or it is grammar section, right? Okay, so let's start. Phrasal verbs are very important. See, phrasal verbs are very important as they are frequently asked in spotting errors, fill blanks, and closed test. As I told you that phrasal verbs are very important for spotting error, for fill in the blanks, and for closed test. A number of questions have been asked from phrasal verbs. Okay, so I have given 2 examples. What type of questions are asked from phrasal verbs? So first example is of spotting error and second example is of fill in the blank. So as you can see, while crossing the road, the old man was run down by a truck. While crossing the road, the old man was run down by a truck. Now, you cannot solve this question until and unless you know the meaning of phrasal verb which has been used in this sentence. Can you figure out which phrasal verb has been asked? So here we have a phrasal verb which is run down. So run down is a phrasal verb. Okay. Now, do you know the meaning of run down? Do you know the meaning of run down? Do you know the meaning of run over? Run down is to criticize someone. Run down means to criticize someone, and run over means to crush someone. So now the sentence is, while crossing the road, the old man was run down by a truck. So does a truck criticize someone or does a truck crush someone? Was the old man criticized by the truck or he was crushed by the truck? So here the meaning criticized has nothing to do in the context of this sentence. So run down is the wrong usage. Run down is the wrong usage. The correct word, the correct phrasal verb here is run over. Run over means to be crushed. So while crossing the road, the old man was crushed by the truck, means he was run over by the truck. So here in place of down, you have to use over. Now these type of questions can only be solved if you have learned the phrasal verbs, because a single verb may form multiple phrasal verbs with multiple prepositions and adverbs. Like run down has some other meaning, run over, then run into, okay, then run out. So with a single verb run, multiple phrasal verbs can be formed. Okay, so you need to learn as many as phrasal verbs as you can. Okay, now the second example is from fill in the blanks. I was running of money, so I decided not to plan. I was running blank of money. So run into, run out, run for, run over. So here we have four options: run into, run out, run for and run over. So in the context of this sentence, what should be the correct answer? What should be the correct answer? Now to fill this blank, you must know all the phrasal verbs starting with run and their meaning. Like run into is to enter a place. Okay, run into is to enter a place. Run out means finish. Run for means to run for something, to require something, to desire, to have desire for something. And run over, as I told you, to crush. So here the correct option would be I was running out of money. Running out of money means I am left with no money. Okay, all my money has been spent. Now I do not have a single penny. Like my bike is running out of petrol. If I say my bike is running out of petrol, it means there is not even a single drop of petrol in my bike. If I say I am running out of energy, that means I am almost dead. No energy has left in my body. So to run out means something has been finished, right? So the correct option here would be out. So these are just two examples to let you know that a phrasal verb can be asked in a spotting error and in fill in the blank, in closed test and in vocabulary section. That's why phrasal verbs are very important. So today I will introduce you to the concept of phrasal verb, types of phrasal verbs. Okay, there are multiple types of phrasal verb that I'll tell you today, and also we will see some grammar concepts, right? नीतीश राजभर, ये जो चैनल है ये इंग्लिश मीडियम चैनल है, ठीक है। एसएससी की तैयारी के लिए एग्जामपुर पर हिंदी मीडियम और इंग्लिश मीडियम चैनल अलग अलग है, ठीक है। इंग्लिश मीडियम चैनल पर मैं इंग्लिश में पढ़ाता हूँ और हिंदी मीडियम चैनल पर मैं हिंदी में एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ। तो जिस बच्चे को इंग्लिश में प्रॉब्लम है और जिसे चीज़ें हिंदी में समझना है तो एसएससी बाई एग्जामपुर चैनल है जहाँ पर मैं हिंदी में भी पढ़ाता हूँ, ठीक है। तो आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी, आप उस चैनल पर जाकर के मेरी क्लासेस देख सकते हैं, ठीक है। अगर आपको इंग्लिश पढ़ना है तो जो बच्चा हिंदी में पढ़ना चाहता है वो एग्जामपुर चैनल पर जाओ। किस चैनल पर? एग्जामपुर, एग्जामपुर के नाम से जो है, ठीक है। एग्जामपुर चैनल पर जाओ, वहां आपको, आप मेरे नाम से सर्च करिएगा इंग्लिश बाय तौसीफ सर, वहां आपको मेरी पूरी प्लेलिस्ट मिल जाएगी, ठीक है। और उस प्लेलिस्ट में आपको तकरीबन 28-30 वीडियोस डले हुए हैं जिसमें मैंने ग्रामर को डिटेल में पढ़ाई हुई हैं चीज़ें सारी, तो आप उस प्लेलिस्ट पर जाकर के पढ़ सकते हैं, ठीक है। और वहीं पर भी क्लास होती है, ठीक है। चलिए, बट इस क्लास में चूंकि ये चैनल जो है वो इंग्लिश मीडियम के लिए है तो यहाँ मैं इंग्लिश में ही बोलूँगा, ओके। ओके, now what are phrasal verb? Now the question is, what are phrasal verbs? So a phrasal verb is a group of words which has a verb with a preposition or an adverb with it, okay. A phrasal verb is a group of words. What is a phrasal verb? It is a group of words which has a verb with a preposition or an adverb with it, right. So the first example is run into, run into, okay. So run is a verb and into is a preposition, and together run into becomes a phrasal verb. And the second example is keep is a verb and away is an adverb, and keep away together forms a phrasal verb. So a phrasal verb can be formed by adding either a preposition with a verb or an adverb with a verb, okay. So a verb with an adverb and a verb with a preposition are used to create a phrasal verb, okay. Now the latter part of a phrasal verb is called participle, right. So when we talk about a phrasal verb like run into as a phrasal verb, so into the latter part is called participle. So into in a phrasal verb is called participle. Away in a phrasal verb, in this phrasal verb is called participle, okay. Now types of phrasal verbs. Types of phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are of 4 types. Phrasal verbs are of 4 types. First is transitive phrasal verb. Second is intransitive phrasal verbs. Third is separable phrasal verb, and fourth is inseparable phrasal verb, okay. So these are 4 types of phrasal verb, and each type of phrasal verb is very important as the questions may be asked from any of these type, okay. So there are 4 types of phrasal verb: transitive phrasal verbs, intransitive phrasal verbs, separable phrasal verbs, and inseparable phrasal verb. While studying verbs in grammar, you must have studied transitive and intransitive verb. I hope that you must have studied transitive and intransitive verbs. So today I will tell you transitive and intransitive verbs in detail. So first we need to understand the concept of transitive and intransitive verbs, right. First we need to understand the concept of transitive and intransitive verbs, because transitive and intransitive verbs are very important for examinations, right? So this is important not just to understand the phrasal verb, right? Transitive and intransitive verbs are not only important for phrasal verbs, but many questions in spotting error and sentence improvement section have been asked from this topic. So if you haven't studied transitive and intransitive verbs so far, you must study now, okay? Now let's talk about transitive verb, okay? Let's talk about transitive verb. What are transitive verbs? See, a verb that requires a direct object, a verb that requires a direct object is called transitive, right? A verb that requires a direct object is transitive, okay? What is a direct object? What is a direct object? Direct object is the answer of what after a verb. For example, if I write, when I say I saw, okay, if I say I saw, after listening to this sentence, the very first question that arises in your mind is what? When I say I saw, the first reaction you would give is what? What did you see? Okay, so whenever I say I saw, the very first question you would ask would be what did you see? I said I saw, and I haven't said what. I saw what? So the very first question you would ask is what did you see? So what did you see? Now when I complete the sentence, I saw a tiger. So this word tiger is the answer of this question. So whenever we ask a question what after a verb, the answer would be direct object. So here tiger is direct object. So any verb that is incomplete without a direct object is transitive, okay? Any verb which is incomplete, any verb which is incomplete without a direct object is transitive, right? Any verb which is incomplete without a direct object is intransitive. So when it comes to transitive verb, you just have to keep in mind that any verb that is incomplete without a direct object is transitive. Any verb which is incomplete without a direct object is transitive, right? Any verb which is incomplete without a direct object is intransitive. And how do we know that a verb is incomplete and a direct object is required? The simple formula, the simple thing that I told you is to ask yourself whether the question what arises or not. Okay, let me give you one example. If I write I loved, and one more sentence, I broke, not broke, let me write I threw. Okay, I loved and I threw. Which of these two sentences is correct, is complete? When I say I loved, this is complete. It does not require any object. Why it does not require any object? Because what question does not arise here. But when I said I threw, when I say I threw, the very first expression that you would give is what? Like, what did you throw? So when I said I loved, when I say I loved, no one would ask what did you love. You may ask why did you laugh, when did you laugh, okay, how did you laugh, but no one is going to ask what did you laugh, because what did you laugh makes no sense. Okay, what did you laugh makes no sense, and if what did you laugh makes no sense, that means this sentence is complete, and without object this is complete. That means this is intransitive verb. But when I say I threw, the very first expression that would come in your mind is what did you throw, because until I am telling you what did I throw, the sentence is not going to give a complete meaning. So I threw is a transitive verb, and since this is a transitive verb and object is not there, this sentence is incomplete. This sentence is incomplete. So any verb which is incomplete without a direct object is transitive. Okay. Now, use of reflexive pronoun after transitive verb. Now this is something very, very important. This is something very, very important. Okay, this is something very important. Now in next 15 to 20 minutes, the concept that I am going to tell you is very important, and multiple questions have been asked in this topic. Okay. Use of reflexive pronouns after transitive verb. So as I told you, any verb that is incomplete without direct object is transitive. Okay, as I told you that any verb that is incomplete without a direct object is transitive. Okay, that means if there is no direct object after a transitive verb, it gives no meaning. For example, if I write a sentence, subject, second form of verb, then preposition, then object. If this is the structure of a sentence, the sentence would be wrong. If the structure of a sentence is this, the sentence would be wrong, because after verb we need a direct object. After verb we need a direct object, and since direct object is not there, this sentence is incomplete, and if this sentence is incomplete, it means it is wrong. Okay, so let's write it in sentence form. I found in a dark room. I found in a dark room. So when I say I found in a dark room, the very first thing that will come in your mind is what did you find? Okay, because this sentence is not giving a complete meaning. When I say I found in the dark room, you would say what did you find? So until I am giving you the answer that what did I find, it is not going to give a complete meaning. That means after found, direct object is missing. Direct object is missing, and without direct object this sentence is absolutely wrong. Because what is a sentence? A sentence is a meaningful group of words, and since this group of word has no meaning, it means it is not a sentence, it is wrong. So our heading was use of reflexive pronoun after transitive verb. So when a transitive verb is used without a direct object, it is considered wrong. Now what is the use of reflexive pronoun? If a transitive verb is without direct object, it gives no meaning. Okay, if a transitive verb is without direct object, it gives no meaning. So to complete such sentences, we use reflexive pronouns in place of direct object. Okay, so if a transitive verb is without direct object, it gives no meaning. To complete such sentences, we use reflexive pronoun in place of direct object. Now what are reflexive pronouns? You might be thinking, what are reflexive pronouns? So the reflexive of I is myself, reflexive of you is yourself, reflexive of he is himself, reflexive of she is herself, reflexive of we is ourselves, reflexive of they is themselves. So these are reflexive words. Okay, reflexive of it is itself. Okay, so if a transitive verb is without direct object, it gives no meaning. The sentence is wrong, and to complete the sentence, we need to use a reflexive pronoun after transitive verb to complete the sentence and to make it meaningful. Okay, let me give you some examples. If I write I found in the dark in a dark room. Second example, we enjoyed the party very much. Third example, we enjoyed very much in the party. Let's see one more example. You should avail of the opportunity. Now all these four are very important questions for your examination. Okay, all these are very important questions for your examination. First sentence is I found in a dark room. Second is we enjoyed the party very much. Third is we enjoyed very much in the party. And fourth is you should avail of the opportunity. Okay, so these are four questions. I found in a dark room, we enjoyed the party very much, we enjoyed very much in the party, and fourth is you should avail of the opportunity, right? So in this sentence we can see that found is a transitive verb, enjoyed is a transitive verb, okay, enjoyed as we saw is a transitive verb, and avail is a transitive verb. Now how do we know that these are transitive verbs? So when I said I found, the question is what did I find? Okay, when I say I found, so the very first question that will come in your mind is, what did you find? So what is there? When I say I enjoyed, so you would ask, what did you enjoy? A cinema or a picnic or anything? What did you enjoy? So when I say I enjoyed, you would say, what did you enjoy? When I said I avail of, so you would ask, what did you avail of? So all these verbs cannot be completed without answering the word what. Whenever we say any of these verbs, the question arises is what. I came in the class and said, today I enjoyed. So you will not ask how did you enjoy, you will not ask when did you enjoy. The very first thing you would ask is, what did you enjoy? When I'll tell you I enjoyed this, then you'll ask when, why, how. But the very first thing that will come in your mind is, what did you enjoy? So all these verbs are incomplete without answering what. So these verbs are transitive, and a transitive verb is incomplete without a direct object. So as you can see, I found what? No answer. We enjoyed. Now in the second sentence, we enjoyed the party. So in this sentence, in second sentence, when I say I enjoyed, you ask what did you enjoy? I said enjoyed the party. So here the party is direct object. So we enjoyed what? We enjoyed the party. But in the third sentence, we enjoyed what? Now very much is not an object. So we enjoyed what? Object is missing. And in the fourth sentence, you should avail of the opportunity. So here avail, who availed the opportunity? So if we if we review these sentences from the grammar point of view, this sentence is wrong, because in this sentence a transitive verb has been used without a direct object, and when a transitive verb is used without a direct object, we should use a reflexive pronoun. So the correction of this sentence would be, I found myself in a dark room. I found myself in a dark room. So we need to add reflexive pronoun after found, because found is a transitive verb and it cannot give a complete meaning. It cannot give a complete meaning until and unless a direct object is there. And since direct object is not there, we have to use a reflexive pronoun. So in this sentence, we need to add myself after found. But in the second sentence, we enjoyed, and the party is the direct object. So what did we enjoy? We enjoyed the party. So this sentence has a direct object. This is correct. Now in the third sentence, we have the same verb, enjoyed, but as this sentence has a direct object after the verb, this sentence does not have any object, because here after enjoyed we have very much. Now you should understand the difference between very much and the party. The party is a noun which is actually the object of the sentence, but very much is adverb, and an adverb is not the object. To be an object, the word must be a noun. So here actually direct object is missing. So this sentence is also wrong, and the correction of this sentence would be, we enjoyed ourselves very much in the party. So after enjoyed, we need to add ourselves to correct this sentence, because in this sentence enjoyed was followed by the party, which is a noun and an object, but in this sentence there is no object after enjoyed. That's why we need to use ourselves after it. Now you should avail of the opportunity. Okay, so opportunity is an object, but it is after of. So it is the object of preposition, but after avail we do not have any object. So the correction of this sentence would be, you should avail yourself, you should avail yourself of, you should avail yourself of, right? So I hope that you must have got the concept of transitive verb. Any verb that is incomplete without a direct object is transitive, and to complete such sentences we need to add a direct object or a reflexive pronoun after them. Now let's see some examples. We have 3 examples. Try to solve them. First sentence is, you should have brought to the front to present the plan. First sentence is, you should have brought to the front to present the plan. Is this sentence correct, or does it require any correction? Reflexive pronoun, Rohit Kumar, reflexive pronoun is according to the subject. If the subject is I, reflexive pronoun would be myself. If the subject is you, reflexive pronoun would be yourself. If the subject is he, reflexive pronoun would be himself. Same is the case with herself, itself and ourselves. Okay. So now, you should have brought to the front to present the plan. Okay. So here we have brought as the main verb, and the very first thing is to ask yourself whether brought, which is the third form of bring, is transitive or intransitive. So when I say I have brought for you, okay, if I say I have brought for you, so the very first question that you would ask is, what did you bring, or what have you brought? If I say I bring, the very first thing is, what did I bring? So this verb is incomplete without answering what, and that is direct object. Means brought is a transitive verb which requires a direct object after it. So there is no direct object, that means this sentence is incomplete, wrong. So to correct this sentence we need to add a reflexive pronoun after it. So it would be brought, you should have brought yourself. So after brought you need to add yourself to complete the sentence. Why yourself? Because the subject is you, and reflexive pronoun is always according to the subject. So if the subject is you, the reflexive pronoun would be yourself. Now we have used this yourself just to fill the gap that was created due to the absence of direct object after a transitive verb. Okay. So when a gap is formed due to the absence of direct object after a transitive verb, we need to add a reflexive pronoun just to complete the sentence. So the sentence would be, you should have brought yourself, you should have brought yourself. Okay. English grammar. Okay. Now the second sentence is, why did you not introduce to the chairman? Why did you not introduce to the chairman? So see here, after introduce there is no direct object. After introduce there is no direct object. If introduce is an intransitive verb, no problem, because an intransitive verb is never followed by a direct object. An intransitive verb is never followed by a direct object, but a transitive verb is always followed by a direct object. So if introduce is intransitive, no problem, but if introduce is a transitive verb, then certainly this sentence is wrong, because a transitive verb can never be used without a direct object. Now let's check whether introduce is transitive or intransitive. So when I said I introduced, so the very first question would be, what did you introduce? Introduce is to, what is the meaning of introduce? The meaning of introduce is to bring someone or something forth, to present someone or something in front of somebody. Okay, so when I said I introduced, the very first thing would be what. So this verb introduce is transitive, and since this is transitive, we need an object after it, and since object is not there, this sentence is incomplete. Now how to complete this sentence? To complete this sentence, we need to add a reflexive pronoun. And what would be the reflexive pronoun? The subject is you, so the reflexive pronoun would be yourself. So after introduce, you need to add yourself. Okay, so the sentence would be, why did you not introduce yourself? Why did you not introduce yourself to the chairman? Okay, why did you not introduce yourself to the chairman? So we need to add yourself after introduce, because introduce is a transitive verb and it does not give a complete meaning without a direct object. And since there is no direct object after introduce, we needed to add yourself, that is reflexive pronoun, which is always according to the subject. The subject was you, that's why the reflexive pronoun is yourself. Okay, now third example, whenever I travel, I enjoy very much. Next example is, whenever I travel, I enjoy very much. Now, is this sentence correct or is this wrong? So in this sentence we have the main verb enjoy. Okay, now in the previous sentences, in the previous example, we have already seen that enjoy is a transitive verb. Okay, so since enjoy is a transitive verb, it must be followed by a direct object, and as we can see, there is no object after enjoy. So whenever I travel, I enjoy. So ask yourself this question, whenever I travel, I enjoy. Now the question is, what do I enjoy? I enjoy the food, or I enjoy the journey, or I enjoy the ambience. What do I exactly enjoy? So until and unless I am telling you that what do I enjoy while traveling, the sentence would be no meaning. Okay, so we need to add an object, and since the object is not there, the gap must be filled by a reflexive pronoun. So here after enjoy we need to add reflexive pronoun, and since the subject is I, the reflexive pronoun would be myself. The reflexive pronoun would be myself. Okay, so whenever I travel I enjoy myself very much. So now you must have got the idea that what are transitive verbs and how these are important in your examination and what type of questions have been asked from transitive verbs section. Okay, let me repeat one more time, listen to me carefully. Any verb that is incomplete without a direct object is called a transitive verb. That means a transitive verb must be followed by a direct object. If there is no direct object after a transitive verb, it is considered wrong. And to correct this sentence, to fill the gap created by the absence of direct object must be filled by a reflexive pronoun. Okay, so as you can see here, brought was a transitive verb and there was no absent object, that's why we added yourself. The same way, second sentence introduce is a transitive verb which has not been followed by a direct object, that's why we have added yourself. And the third sentence enjoy is again a transitive verb which is not followed by any object, that's why we have added myself to complete the sentence. Rohit Kumar, I'll give you a list of transitive, intransitive and semi-transitive verbs so that you may learn it for examination. Don't worry about it. Okay, here I am only telling you the concept, right? I'll give you a list of all these verbs, don't worry about it. Okay, now what are intransitive verbs? What are intransitive verbs? Any verb that does not require a direct object. Any verb that does not require a direct object is intransitive. Okay, any verb that does not require a direct object is intransitive. So intransitive is just opposite of transitive verb. Any verb that does not require a direct object is intransitive. If I write I loved so loud that everyone looked at me. The sentence is I laughed so loud that everyone looked at me. So as you can see here, the verb loved is not followed by any object. As you can see that the verb loved is not followed by any object. Now if the verb laugh is transitive, this sentence is wrong because a transitive verb must be followed by a direct object. But if laughed is intransitive, this sentence is absolutely correct because an intransitive verb does not require any object. So ask yourself whether laugh is transitive or intransitive. And what is the criterion? The criterion is Ask yourself what? Can you ask, what did you laugh? Does this question make any sense? What did you laugh? No, it does not make any sense. You can say, why did you laugh? You can say, when did you laugh? You can say, how did you laugh? But you can never say, what did you laugh? So you cannot form a question with laugh using the WH word what. And if what is not there, it means the verb is intransitive. And since the verb is intransitive, it does not require any direct object. So this sentence is absolutely correct. So any verb that is complete and that does not require any direct object is called intransitive. Okay? Got my point? Okay, now this is very important. Superfluous use of reflexive pronoun after intransitive verb. So this is something that you have to keep in mind, that reflexive pronouns are used only after transitive verb in the absence of direct object. Okay, reflexive pronouns are used only after transitive verbs, and that too in the absence of direct object. But if you are using reflexive pronouns after intransitive verb, they are completely superfluous, like they are wrong. Because if an intransitive verb is not followed by any object, how can they be followed by a reflexive pronoun? Because the function of a reflexive pronoun is to fill the gap created by the absence of direct object, and since a transitive verb is not followed by any direct object, how can we use a reflexive pronoun after them? So use of reflexive pronouns is superfluous after intransitive verb. For example, let's see this sentence. He could not concentrate himself on his studies. Okay, now if concentrate is transitive, this sentence is correct. Okay, if concentrate is transitive, this sentence is correct. But if concentrate is intransitive, this sentence is wrong. Because as you can see here, concentrate is followed by a reflexive pronoun himself. Here concentrate is followed by a reflexive pronoun himself, and a reflexive pronoun only follows a transitive verb. It does not follow an intransitive verb. So now you have to ask yourself whether the word concentrate is transitive or intransitive. If it is transitive, this sentence is absolutely correct. But if it is intransitive, this sentence is wrong. So as I told you, ask yourself what? Can you ask, what did you concentrate? No, what did you concentrate does not make any sense. That means concentrate is not transitive. That means this sentence is not correct. Concentrate is intransitive, and since intransitive verb is neither followed by an object or so, this sentence is wrong. Okay, as I told you that an intransitive verb is followed by neither direct object nor a reflexive pronoun. Reflexive pronoun, use of reflexive pronoun after intransitive verb is superfluous. So this sentence is wrong. You will have to remove himself. The correct sentence would be, he could not concentrate on his studies. Okay. Now the second sentence. The sentence is also the same. We have the main verb fainted. Now, if fainted is transitive, this sentence is wrong. But if fainted is intransitive, this sentence is wrong. So, fainted is intransitive, and intransitive is not followed by a reflexive pronoun. So, this sentence is also wrong. We have to remove himself after it. Fainted is not transitive, it is intransitive. Now question number 3. My friend rises. So rises again is an intransitive verb. So use of himself is wrong here too. Okay. So these 3 examples that I have given you here is to let you know that any intransitive verb which is followed by a reflexive pronoun is incorrect. Okay, use of reflexive pronouns after intransitive verbs are superfluous. Okay, let's see. Now, besides transitive and intransitive verb, there is a third category too, that is semi-transitive verbs or ergative verbs. Okay, semi-transitive verbs are also called ergative verbs, right? Semi-transitive verbs are also called ergative verbs. So now, what are semi-transitive verb or ergative verbs? See, a transitive verb is always transitive. What did I write? A transitive verb is always transitive. Means a transitive verb does not change its nature. If a verb is transitive, it will always remain transitive. Okay, whether it is followed by an object or there is no object, no matter, it will always remain transitive. Okay, an intransitive verb is always intransitive. Just like the transitive verb, intransitive verb also does not change its nature. An intransitive verb is always intransitive. Okay, but an ergative verb is transitive when followed by a direct object, and it is intransitive, and it is intransitive when there is no object. So just try to understand the difference between transitive, intransitive and ergative verb. Transitive and intransitive verbs are not flexible. They do not change their nature. If a verb is transitive, it means it will always remain transitive. And if a verb is intransitive, it will always remain intransitive. But the semi-transitive verb or an ergative verb is very flexible. It changes its nature. When used with a direct object, it is transitive, and when it is used with without object, it is intransitive. Okay, let me give you some examples. Let me give you some examples. See, bring, this is transitive. Okay, so if I write, I brought a pen for you. I brought for you. Bring is transitive and it does not change. So with object it was transitive, and without object also it is transitive, and since it cannot be used without an object, this sentence is wrong and we need to add a reflexive pronoun after it. So this sentence is wrong because there is no object. There is no object, that's why this sentence is wrong. So this verb is not flexive, it does not change its nature. Second thing, concentrate, this is intransitive. Okay, now we know that intransitive verbs are never followed by a reflexive pronoun or direct object. Because an intransitive verb is not followed by a direct object, it can also be not followed by reflexive pronoun. So if I write, I concentrate and I concentrate myself. So this sentence is wrong. This sentence is wrong because concentrate is an intransitive verb, thus it cannot be followed by reflexive pronoun. So the thing is to understand that a transitive verb and an intransitive verb are not flexible. Okay, transitive verb is always transitive and intransitive is always intransitive, they do not change. But this is not the case with ergative verb. Now turn is an ergative verb. Ergative verb. So it can be both transitive with an object and intransitive without an object. So turn is an ergative verb. Turn is an ergative verb which is transitive with an object and intransitive without an object. So if I write, I turned the page, and second example, I turned. So when I say I turned the page, it means I am turning the page, and when I write I turned, this means I am turning myself. So this is the meaning. Remember, this is the meaning. So when this sentence means I am turning myself, when the meaning of this sentence is I turned, who turned? I. So if there is no object, turned refers to the subject. If there is an object, if there is an object after turn, it refers to the object, that what am I turning? I am turning the page. But when there is no object, the verb refers to the subject itself. I turned means turning myself. So when I turned includes myself in it, there is no need to add myself. So if you would add myself, would be wrong. Myself would be wrong. Okay, so the important thing is that an ergative verb is never followed by a reflexive pronoun. Now this is very important. An ergative verb is never followed by An ergative verb is never followed by a reflexive pronoun. Okay, an ergative verb is never followed by a reflexive pronoun. Okay, so if I write I moved myself to create some room. I moved myself to create some room. So moved is an ergative verb. It does not followed by reflexive, so use of reflexive is wrong here. Now the question is, how many ergative verbs are there? So see, there are many ergative verbs, but there are a few that we need to learn. Okay, we do not need to worry about all the ergative verbs. We just need to learn some important ergative verbs which are important for your examination, and those important ergative verbs are, these are some important ergative verbs. Some important ergative verbs. And remember, the only question that may be formed using these ergative verbs is, none of these verbs is followed by reflexive pronoun. Okay, you cannot use reflexive pronoun after any of these verbs. Okay, if there is reflexive pronoun after any of these verbs, the sentence would be wrong. So these are important ergative verbs. Begin, change, drop, break, close, dry, finish, grow, improve, keep, stop, turn, move, hide, bathe, qualify, fly, open, shake, start, stop and tear. All these are ergative verbs, and as I told you, ergative verbs are never followed by reflexive pronouns. Okay. Okay, let me give you one example. Give you one example. As we have seen that stop is an ergative verb. Stop is an ergative verb. So when I write I stopped him, it means I am stopping when I write I stopped him, this sentence means that I am stopping someone else. Okay, when I write I stopped him, it means I am stopping someone else. But if I write just I stopped, means there is no object. There is no object. Okay, so when I write I stopped, means there is no object. So this sentence means that I am stopping myself. So this sentence means I am stopping myself. So since stopped includes myself, there is no need to write myself. So I stopped is enough. There is no need to use myself after it, because if you will add myself, it will be superfluous, because in the absence of object, stopped indicates the subject itself. So there is no need to use myself. Okay, so these are ergative verbs. Okay, these are ergative verbs. Hope you got the point. Okay. Now let's see some examples. Here we have some examples. So remember this. Use of reflexive pronouns is superfluous after ergative verbs. Use of reflexive pronouns is superfluous after ergative verbs. So here we have question number 1. When I called his name, he turned himself and looked at me. When I called his name, he turned himself and looked at me. So here we have turned, and since turned is an ergative verb, it should not be followed by reflexive pronoun. So here the use of reflexive pronoun is superfluous. So the error lies in the third part. Error lies in the third part. Same is the second sentence, I could not qualify. Now qualify again is an ergative verb. Okay, and if it is an ergative verb, it should not be followed by reflexive pronoun. So here myself is wrong. Error lies in the second sentence. Now in the third sentence, you should have moved yourself away from the floor when it cracked. So again, moved is an ergative verb. It should not be followed by reflexive pronoun. So the error lies in the second part. Okay, so any ergative verb you are using, there should be no use of reflexive pronoun. And if the question arises in your mind that how many ergative verbs are there, you just need to learn these verbs. Okay, you should not worry about all the ergative verbs, you just need to memorize these verbs, because if a question has been asked from ergative verbs, there will be no other verb except these that I have told you. Okay, so remember these verbs, these are ergative verbs. Okay, just memorize them, and the only thing you have to keep in mind about ergative verbs, the only thing that you have to keep in mind about ergative verbs is that they are never followed by a reflexive pronoun. Okay, ergative verbs are never followed by reflexive pronoun. Okay, so memorize these verbs, these are never followed by any reflexive pronoun. Okay, so now tell me, did you get the concept of transitive, intransitive and ergative verb? If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask me. If you have any confusion, please ask me, I will make it clear. Any student, I guess not many students are watching right now. I don't know the reason, whether I am not teaching well or there is any other reason for the absence of students here in my class. I guess I am not teaching well. Please let me know. If you think that I am not teaching well, we can change the teacher also. Okay, so there is no need to tolerate someone who is non-productive, who is whenever you feel that a teacher is not productive, let him know, so that a new teacher, so that a better teacher can be arranged for you. Okay, So revise this class, and we will continue this topic tomorrow. Okay, so this much for today. See you in the next class. Till then, goodbye.